Alright everyone, welcome back to No More Future. What a paradoxical thing that I just said, but hey, welcome back. Subscribe, like, comment, share to friends and loved ones. I am curious how many more chapter episodes where we left off. I feel like this game will have like, it's gonna be like 3 freaking books in equivalent. I don't know, man. I could be wrong. Because we are going at a snail's pace, but at the same time we are slowly diving. It could be a slow start. This is what I think. I know I'm yapping the first part of the game. This is yap. I could just skip this. But we're diving in the characters in this game. In-depth dive. So we could know them, their insecurities, the things they like, the things they don't like, the way they talk, the way they move, the way they think. Yeah. Going back to the game. There we go. My voice my voice cracked. Not obvious, kid. Natural. It's not every day you hear a story as crazy as that. I've been around for more than half a century, and even I've never stumbled to anything similar, which is, yeah, that's actually something to take note. You'd almost be tempted to dismiss it as nonsense, were it not for all the evidence we've seen so far. And judging by Daphne's talk earlier, it sounds like plenty of people did. Unsure of how to I'm unsure of how to follow that up. Mary crosses her arms in silence, waiting to hear what you'll say next. Not wanting the uneasy silence to last forever, you let out a sigh before continuing from where you left off. I just can't believe those people would go that far just to get their money back. I mean, yeah, murdering their parents, chasing some kids to the ends of the earth. I get there's a lot of money at stake and all, but is it really worth doing all this? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, well, it's not just their money. Let's say, I mean, it's an organization, right? Syndicate, whatever, criminal or could be whatever, any organization pretty much. There are people there that have money in this organization too, and whoever is at the top or the boss or the one who's executing these decisions, they can't just say, well, I'm sorry, I can't find the money, I lost it, I'm giving up. He or she can't just say that. They can, but the consequences would be their life or their lives or whatever. Yeah, so I agree with Mary. The feline replies without missing a beat, taking the wind right out of your sails. How can you say something like that? Easily, very easily. Is that a trick question? Yeah, I was gonna say, my man, you're literally a product of Pandora, so money. No, but then don't act so surprised. Your age is showing. The woman cuts you off with a wide smile on her face. Although the longer you stare at it, the less real it looks. Like I said, I've been around for a while. I've met quite a lot of people over the years and have gotten to know a fair chunk of them. I got to learn what kept driving them, what they aspired to. Turns out a lot of people are quite similar in that regard. When you boil down their dreams to their bare essentials, most people will tell you that all they wish for is a happy, comfortable life. A happy, comfortable life? You ask, genuinely confused. Isn't that obvious? I mean, who'd want to dream of a life of horror or suffering? No one. Not anymore, at least. But the world used to be full of them, you know? Full of people who wanted nothing less than to change the world. Who wanted to write the book that would move a generation or rule a country in a moment of crisis, or invent a new treatment that would save millions of lives. People who weren't afraid to suffer or even die for the sake of their dreams and ideals. The woman muses somberly as she casts her gaze past the railing, where you look on in uncertain skepticism. And you're saying they're not around anymore? Isn't that a little extreme? I don't know. When's the last you've seen one of them? You mumble awkwardly as you try to come up with a name to present to the scientists. Unfortunately, it's hard to think of anyone you know who could fit that description. Aside from Mary, of course. Daphne and Apollo only wish to live normal lives, and Nemeren's dreams, while commendable, are fairly ordinary as far as they go. Meanwhile, your cousin... My cousin. You reiterate aloud, piquing Mary's interest as you finally find a candidate that appears to meet her criteria. My cousin wants to go to space. Huh, really now? He ponders, surprised, though not quite as taken aback as you might have expected her to be. And he's actually working toward it? Well, he's having some trouble in school, admittedly, but he's got the spirit. I'm sure he won't abandon his dreams when he's so passionate about... Reality is often disappointing. I'll be honest. I have dreams. Everyone starts out with dreams. We usually abandon... Not everyone, okay? But a lot of people abandon them along the way. Because when reality sets or hits, when you need food, you need money, you need something to not only live but thrive, you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of things, unfortunately. So, there are those that can go for their shoot for the stars, as they say, shoot for the stars. But not everyone has equal opportunity, and it is what it is. That's life, you know. Sometimes you get born with a bad deck of cards, you know, a bad hand, and you have to make do. You have to make do what you can. It's easy to say, hard to do. Going back to the game, I don't doubt he has dreams, and they're certainly bigger than most, but I do wonder why he dreams of that in the first place. Why he dreams that? You echo her words, even more confused. Noticing that, your friend attempts to clarify. I'm not saying people don't dream big anymore, Isaac. I'm saying they no longer dream bigger than themselves. Hence why I'm asking, why does he want to go to space? Yup. Like, what she said before, saving millions of lives. Yeah, that's people who have dreams not because they want to be rich. They're not centered towards that dream. They're merely a tool towards a bigger thing. Helping other people. Or bettering people's lives. Or I don't fucking know, saving the world or some shit. That's big. Because usually that takes a lot of sacrifice, which in the end takes a sacrifice that would most likely end you and make it, I don't know, you end up dead. Let's go with that. A martyr, I don't know. It won't be easy. Going back to the game, because I'm yapping. I'm sorry everyone, I'm like a little bit doozy dizzy, wizzy woozy. Yeah, hence why I'm asking, why does he want to go to space? I'm not sure, honestly. He never did tell me, and for that matter, I never asked. I never thought he might have had a particular reason to want that in the first place. I just tried to be supportive of his dream, no matter what, but I guess I never thought of it as anything more than a cool idea. Certainly he has his reasons, but the fact you never ever even wondered what they were feels somewhat embarrassing to say the least. You'll have to ask him next time you visit him, and maybe apologize for not doing that any sooner. Until then, you try your best to refocus on the conversation at hand. Still, there's no way things are as bleak as you say. Surely in your field, there must be those that... In my field? You mean other scientists? She cuts you off, barely suppressing her laughter. I've met many of them over the years. Colleagues of mine notwithstanding, most are perfectly content working in this or that company, finding out ways of making this or that process a tad more efficient. That or just pushing papers for the same employers, whichever they paid to do, really. Are you serious? That sounds boring and more than a little disheartening, you must say. Yeah, that's the real world, Isaac. It's a horrible thing that most people can't really live their dream or passion or whatever. You have to just stick with comfortability because it is what it is. You're trying to find security. Your dream doesn't guarantee that. That's a big risk. You can jump the gun and you take a leap of faith, and God knows, right? Everybody starts out with big dreams. Yeah, exactly. Everybody starts out with big dreams, Isaac. But those dreams rarely involve anyone but the dreamer themselves. Yup. And at the end of the day, they all resolve themselves in a pleasant enough job and a steady source of income. Preach, sister. Enough to secure a lifetime of comfort and more. Besides, you won't find many people who dare ask for more. And when all you care about is yourself, surely you won't let a few lives stand in your way, will you? Not when your happy, comfortable future is on the line. True. If it referred only to the men chasing after friends, you'd have no problem with the feline's explanation. But given everything else you've talked about just now, you can't help but notice its implications. Are you saying everyone is like that? Everyone's a soulless monster? Even me, my friends? No, Isaac, what she's trying to say is that eventually some people do go hollow. Oh great, Dark Souls. But you know what I'm talking about, jeez. What? No, goodness no. That'd be a bit much, even for me. I just wanted to... The woman sighs, she shakes her head, clearly disappointed in herself. Seeing this, you let go of your indignation, for a moment, if only to understand what's really going on. Are you alright? You've been acting strange all evening. Ha! Straight into the point. And exactly right to boot. Honestly, all these talks about death and losing people are starting to mess with my head a little. It's tough to keep making sense when all you want is to keep a lid on the topic. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I can't say I handled that subject very well either. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed this topic on you. When you're... That's not it. Mary replies meekly, her gaze suddenly failing to withstand your own. Life, death, everything in between. You know I've never shied away from discussing things like these. No. It's her death I've been trying to avoid bringing up. Oh, family matters, huh? A brief silence follows her words, as if the whole world... Yeah, it kind of explains why she was yapping about dreams and whatnot. A brief silence follows her words, as if the whole world has come to a standstill. As if even the very ground you stand on was afraid of what she could say next. I never did end up telling you how I lost my grandmother, did I? The woman's coat rattles in the wind as a sudden shiver courses through your upper body. Whoa, are you sure you want to talk about that? Here? Now? Of course. How else can I make this feeling go away? Looking back, it's what I should have done from the very beginning. Even before we left your apartment. But, are you sure? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to talk about it. I know. And I really don't want to talk about it, to be honest. Even 40 years later, the memory still hurts like hell. Even so? She hesitates before shaking what pain yet lingered before her visage. It's not like this tale would get any easier to share with time. Might as well tell it to you now since it feels appropriate. And besides, I feel like you deserve to hear this. If nothing else, so you can understand how I really feel for once. How I've been feeling since the day I lost her. You mutter something under your breath, still uncertain what purpose Mary could find in unearthing these clearly painful memories. In the end, though, you decide to honor the woman's trust in you with your own and prepare yourself to listen. I understand. Just remember I'm here for you if you need me, alright? I will. Thank you. She replies, her voice struggling to reach her lips already, though by the time she begins, she's already fixed this flaw in her speech. It was around this time of the year, in what ended up being my last year of college. I wanted to be scientist, like my grandmother before me, but I didn't know what kind yet. So I ended up studying a little bit of everything. The first few degrees were essential for my career path. My fifth and final one was more of a victory lap than anything. Just another notch to add to my belt, to secure employment in whichever business I wish, though really it was more to make my parents happy than anything. Wow. You can't help but mumble in awe at her achievements, though you try not to interrupt her. While unresponsive, Mary appears to appreciate it. In the end, I learned very little at college. Most of what my classes covered, I'd already mastered on my own, and exams were, for the most part, nothing more than a formality. Still, my parents and teachers alike insisted on the value of those certifications, and not without reason either. Without them, I was nothing more than some gifted video screen personality, and I had no intention to settle at that. I agree. Certificates kinda add in that. It's not a sure shot of saying to the employer, oh my god, this person in front of me is the GOAT with his certificates. No. It just adds into the legitimateness of what you're saying. It's like, okay, you're skilled. Show me something. Oh, here's your project, or here's the thing you worked at before. Okay, so what? Oh, you're certified. Whoa, never. Okay, that adds in more evidence that, yeah, your skills are the real deal. or your knowledge. Either way. So I studied, I gave it everything I had, pouring every ounce of effort into my grades, into securing those qualifications. Right up until the day my grandmother got ill. It's at this point in her tale that Mary's eyes fail her, and she's forced to tilt her gaze downward to avoid staring at her teary reflection on your visor. My parents insisted I paid no mind, that they go right back to studying even as we watch her old and failing body hooked to machines in that sterile hospital bed. Am I correct? Oh my god, what a mumble fumble by me. Going back to it, even as they watched me cry and twitch as I held her hand between my own. Mary. You mutter once again as you imagine those events clearly in your head, knowing all too well the kind of pain your friend must have felt. I had every intention of ripping them apart, for the first time in my life, physically, right there in the middle of the hospital, and I very well might have had she not told me the same. You mean your grandmother? Yes, she insisted everything was fine, that she'd get better in no time at all. She thought my time was better spent getting that degree than worrying after a fighter like her. She chuckles grimly. I tried to tell her this degree meant nothing at all, but she disagreed. She said its value lied not in the paper but in the effort I put in to pursue it. She said whether you like it or not, you started this. You wanted this, and now you have to finish this. For you and for me. Damn. Yup. Words of wisdom. Mary needs a moment to muster her breath, made uneven by the sheer speed of her recollection. And so, against my better judgment, I did precisely as they asked. I went back to my dorm. I studied harder and faster than I ever had before. I raced to the finish line so recklessly everyone around me thought I was possessed. All the while, I pushed my family to the back of my mind, thinking of nothing but achieving my goals, reasoning that the sooner I finished, the sooner I could finally celebrate with those I held dear. Again, her voice breaks, her trembling lips fail her. Her teary gaze is pushed ever downward as she braces for the inevitable words that will follow. I got the news right as I ended my thesis. Not a moment sooner or later. The universe's way of flipping me off, I suppose. I rushed to the hospital as fast as I could, but all that greeted me in that room was a corpse. Not a single speck of light on her, nor warmth at all. Oh. Only the cold and an ever-growing emptiness. She whispers as she clutches her chest for dear life, looking as though it could implode at any moment, or perhaps wishing it would, so she could avoid reliving the pain that must be swallowing her whole. What happened next? Your question, spoken just loud enough to reach her, distracts Mary long enough that she can get a hold of herself for a moment. Crying. Lots of crying. Remember how you were during your first weeks at Pandora when you thought your family had turned their backs on you? That's how I felt when I lost the only family that mattered to me. The scientist explains, uncharacteristically harsh. Though her words do sting you a bit, you chose to believe she didn't mean it. It's difficult to tell who you're hurting, after all, when your eyes are so thoroughly drenched in tears. I saw her next at the funeral, inside her casket. Seeing her in that state felt nightmarish. I still couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe any of this could be happening. Not to her. Not to me. I don't remember everything that happened next. Only that at some point in the midst of my crying, my father turned towards me and said, "Grow up." Damn! She states flatly, almost angrily, as the eyes in her visor grow wider than ever. You're joking, right? These things happen to everyone. Your grandmother wasn't exempt from this. Or did you think she was special? She continues, pretending not to hear you, speaking in a tone so inhumanly cold it threatens to freeze the very fuel in your veins. Death is a fact of life. You better get used to it, because it'll be our turn in that casket someday, and then it'll be yours. That's why we told you to study and be proactive. That's why we did everything we could to set you on the right path in life. So you can delay that moment for as long as you can. That's what studying is for. That's what working is for. That's what living is all about. Slowly, chillier than ever, Mary concludes her father's speech. The words linger in the air and your ears growing increasingly unbearable the longer you ponder on them. You've got to be joking. There's no way your own father could tell you something like that. Oh, come on, Isaac. You really think I could come up with something like that on my own? The feline inquires cheekily, with a leer on her lips, so sharp that it could almost draw blood. No, but it's just monstrous. What kind of heartless bastard could say something like that at a funeral to their own child? And why doesn't that make you angry? You ask, almost more bewildered by Mary's attitude than by the words she recited just now. Despite your concerns, however, the woman's demeanor remains calm and composed, almost unnaturally so. Because there wouldn't be any point, at least according to my father's logic, there wouldn't. If there's no reason to feel sadness over a dead relative, surely there's no reason to feel anger either. Not toward him, or that spineless wench he married. The way I see it, he can rest easy now knowing he's left the world exactly the way he entered it. Unknown, unneeded, unloved. You take a step back, unnerved. The back of your neck as well as your ears tingling unpleasantly, as if sharp nails were clawing all over them. Who knew so much resentment could fit in such a small container, despite her earlier claims not to feel anything towards her parents? I'm really sorry, you didn't deserve to hear those words at a time like that. Damn, our creator is more machine than I. The feline ponders as she leans against the railing, a strangely blank expression on her face. I suppose it did sting in the moment and shocked me for a while. But as I peered into my grandmother's casket one last time before she was buried, I realized something. That there was some truth to his words as well. Truth? In that load of garbage? It's not garbage, not exactly. It's just the brain's defense mechanism against mental shutdown. A defense mechanism? You repeat after her, unsure what she means. Hearing this, she wastes no time trying to explain. Death is a fact of life, and yet no human being is born with the knowledge that they'll die someday. It's something we learn by seeing it happen to the other people around us. And so it happens that one day, for one reason or another, we become more acutely aware than ever that we, too, will perish, or someone else we treasure in my case. What then? What had happened to us? What had happened to the people we love? What about everything we did on this earth? What about everything that will come after? That very moment triggers an avalanche of doubts and anxieties that our minds, limited as they are not equipped to ease. Not thoroughly, not satisfyingly. Death is the great unknown after all. And there's no greater fear than the fear of the unknown. True. You're spitting facts. So how do we deal with this? How do we overcome this great moment of weakness in our lives? Well, you try to follow Mary's query, unsure whether she truly expects you to, but you quickly realize you're very much out of her depth. The morbid nature of the assignment certainly doesn't help. Seeing the hopeless look on your visor, she decides to provide the answer herself. Personally, I don't think there are very many options. When you really look at it, it's just a choice between two very simple alternatives. You can either bury the thought in the back of your mind, pile everything else on top of it, and pretend death will never touch you the way I did. Or you can accept your fate the way my father did, rationalize it as best you can, live out your life with the knowledge, the certainty that your end will come as well. Deny death or accept it, rebuke it in vain or surrender yourself to it. In that moment, in front of that casket, I realized that those were the options, the only options across all of time that anyone has ever had. And now she made another option, a third option, synthetics. The woman states close to tears once again as her long lesson draws to a close. Wow. Damn. You mumble in awe and horror alike as you gaze at your friend with wholly new eyes. I don't know what to say. This is Definitely a lot to process. I had no idea you were holding this in all along. Oh, believe me, I've much more yet to share. But let's save it for another time. You seem pretty shaken already, not without reason. Yeah, you could say that again. Like I said, I'm not fond of talking about this stuff with others. It's not a topic I can handle very well right now. Right, of course. True. The woman whispers under breath, her visage suddenly filled with remorse. I'm sorry. Truly. I should have listened to your words earlier. I didn't mean for what I said to... You did listen. I also said I'd be here if you needed me, remember? And I am still here. Just a little shaky is all, at least for a little while. You tell her with a smile, hoping to be of comfort to your friend, even as her mind is once again swarmed by familiar feelings of dread and regret. It's like you said, it's been a while since you last confronted those dark thoughts of yours. Like a gaping abyss you didn't dare look into, even as it grew wider and wider behind you. But what she said is also worth noting. Noting, where's the H in there, Sleepy? But what she said is also worth noting. Ignoring that abyss doesn't make it go away. It only makes you look like a fool as you're slowly swallowed by it. So instead of giving in to your anxieties like you've done one too many times, you decide to take charge of your feelings once again and meet Mary at last on her solitary ground. I understand what you went through. Losing a loved one is always... yeah, heartbreaking. I can't speak for your grandmother, but I'm sure she's proud of you, say the least. You correct yourself at the last moment, at the risk of sounding ridiculous, but your friend seems to understand where you're coming from, even as she fights back the tears welling under her eyes. Thank you, Isaac. It means a lot to me. Taking a few steps back from the railing and your friend alike, you give the feline a moment to catch your breath while you ponder her beliefs some more on your own. Inevitably, this leads you down familiar paths through your haunting memory, purposely reliving times in your life you would have once preferred to forget. I guess we're more similar than I thought after all. You think aloud, not even realizing you did until you hear Mary's voice behind you. How so? Well, the way you say you cope with death. I never really thought about it, but I guess that is how I handled it for the longest time as well. And maybe most people too, if you're right about that. Explain as you prepare yourself to share what few sane thoughts you've left with your friend. My father's death was a tragedy. Even with all of her beliefs keeping her whole, my mom was a wreck, and I was even worse. But even during that horrible time in my life, I never really gave my death much thought. The idea did cross my mind a few times, but I would always forget about it pretty fast. I would always explain it away just as the result of the sadness or the stress piling on me. I mean, I was still a teenager. Teenagers aren't supposed to have those thoughts. Not with their whole life ahead of them and all. Ha! People still say that kind of stuff. They did when I went to school at least, but yeah. I always assumed I'd need to worry about death when I was, I don't know, 90, 80, 60 at the earliest if I shared my dad's luck. I see. That's not entirely unreasonable at the very least. It's a sensible rationalization to make at that age. But what about more sudden means of death? Like a car accident or the ever-elusive bullet to the head? Did you not worry about those? Well, sudden deaths like those are sudden. I guess I figured that if I was gonna die of something stupid like that, I wouldn't have had time to worry about it before it happened. Interesting. Seems like you did give this stuff some thought back then after all. Not really, no. Looking back, most of this feels obvious, but I don't think I really understood this at the time. Not consciously anyway. But that changed one day. The day I was first diagnosed with that. Wait, what? Disease, okay. Uttering that last word is harder than it should be, and your voice ends up cracking against your wishes. Even now that you're synthetic, you can still remember the exact pain you felt that day when your whole world slowed down to a crawl. But you've come this far and you've no intention to back away now. And so, pain though you may be, you press on. Yes sir, just like Pirates of the Caribbean Barbosa did say. What do you do when you or something, whatever? You press on, you move forward. Easier said than done, but that's the thing. It's an uphill fight. The path we have not. There are paths we can choose, and there are paths that have been chosen for us. And some of those paths that are already laid bare disappear. They're bumpy, we can't see in front, and that's scary. But it is what it is. We gotta move forward. So, whatever end the finish line is, we gotta take that step forward. The leap of faith, as I say. All of a sudden, it was as if death was everywhere I looked. It haunted me in every nightmare I had, and lurked unseen in every thought I conceived. It was as if everything revolved around it. Every day I lived drew me closer to it. Every treatment I undertook tried to delay it. Every conversation I had, even the most mundane, inevitably reached that topic. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape it. But as the months passed and my condition worsened, I couldn't accept it either. I just couldn't. You repeat yourself quieter this time as a new wave of pain forces you to turn away from your friend momentarily. And so, since I couldn't accept it, I just ran. I ran so far. I ran so far away. I couldn't get away. I'll try to look for you. I ran so far away. Couldn't get away. I ran even once I became bedridden, even though I knew there was no escape, that no matter how deep I hid in my mind, death would find a way to chase me there. I ran until there was nowhere left to go. And that's when, in the midst of a recollection, you're surprised to feel a warm hand caress the back of her shoulder. Looking back, you see Mary's encouraging smile, beaming at you once again, just like you did on that day. That's when you came to find me. A hint of timidness spreads over the woman's cheeks as she quickly replies. And what an entrance that was, am I right? Oh, you cheeky fucking bastard, you daft feline fiend. Yeah, you lovable gut, you. That's why you're my mate. You're my pal. You know? That's why who you are, Mary. Oh yeah, how could I forget? You were kind of an ass back then. Ha! Am I not still? I'd like to think your edges have softened a bit since then. Or maybe I've just grown more used to them is all. Either way, I'm really glad we met that day. You bloody bastard. You owe me a drink. A pint. I know I probably said it already, but I mean it. Even if it turns out Isaac didn't survive the transition, you gave him hope in a future he all but gave up on. And though my memories of those final moments are still a little foggy, I'd like to think that in the end he died happy. Ready to usher in whichever life came next for him, I guess. That's interesting, man. That's bloody fucking interesting. The scientist listens intently to her words, a smile on her face, despite the clear sadness in her eyes. You know, I'm not a fan of these sorts of hypotheticals, but I'm really glad to hear you say that, Isaac. I just wish I could have done more for you besides the transition. Something that could have helped you avoid it altogether. Maybe there is a way to defeat cancer no one has discovered yet. But even if there was, it's just like you said, that day in the hospital. In the end, all living beings would die someday. Such a treatment could have helped me survive for a while, but not forever. One day I would have had to experience the same pains again, confront the same fears, and reach the same conclusions. You say quieter and quiet. Comment down below, would you want to be synthetic? Let's say we've confirmed it. You can fucking transfer the soul. God came down from the heavens and said, oh, yeah, Mary, whoever the scientist is in the whatever universe, yeah, they fucking solved it. A human soul or a soul is just a bunch of data. 18 to 26 kilobytes of data or something. So yeah, you're good. You can still go enter my fucking kingdom of heaven or something. Yeah. I would have said, yeah, turn him into synthetic. I want to live more, experience more, and when I think I'm done, fucking plug me out, log off. You say quieter and quieter as your voice trails off into the darkness. What started as an innocent attempt to cheer up your friend quickly devolved into the total opposite. It's as if every bit of strength you had left to confront the topic has been thoroughly exhausted. What a sad end for the night. It seems you were too weak to delve deeper into her mind after all, and after showing such bravado earlier too. I guess there's nothing to be done. It's been a pretty rough night after all. Maybe we should just call it quits for now before I end up. So you get it. You really do get it. Huh? Mary mumbles to herself, barely audible to her ears as she steps closer to the railing. What the fuck? Did she have a realization, an epiphany? Her steps are slow, measured, her demeanor wholly unlike her usual, though that's not saying much given everything that happened tonight. Even so, you can't shake away a certain feeling of wrongness emanating from her, especially once you hear her voice again. Then again, I guess that should be expected. You put it best yourself on the very day we met, didn't you? Mary stands near the railing once again, the pitch black of night above her, and the city you grew up in just beyond. A sight you've seen once before, tonight, but that look in her eyes, right now, that takes you way further back, to the day where everything started, or ended, one should say. A day that is as clear in your mind as it is in hers. Life is unfair. Deep down inside their heart, everybody knows this. They all see the darkness looming at the end of their path. They all feel the dread surging forth every time they stare in the face. And still, most refuse to confront their doom until it's too late. Even though our entire life is shaped by it, compressed by it, defined by it, dominated by it. It's as if she's possessed or stuck in some sort of trance. She just got a new fucking enlightenment. It's crazy. We're seeing it live right now. Her eyes face forward, yet it's as if she's somewhere gazing past you. Past the building, past the city. Passive in the sky. When you really look at it, that's what we all truly have in common. Me, you, your friends, even those mobsters, my colleagues at Pandora, those dumbasses at the FBI, every human being that has ever lived on this earth and every human being that ever will. We all share this one common fear, this one common fate, this one common enemy. The true enemy of mankind, of every living being in the universe. Death. Death is the source of all our problems. Can you imagine it, Isaac? A world without death. Where everyone can tackle their life at their own pace without needing to race against an arbitrary clock. Where everyone is finally free to do what they want to do instead of wasting their days doing the same fucking things over and over. I should really remove the F word. That's not very Mary-like. Over and over again. That's insanity, right? That's because they have to. Where human beings are the true masters of their existence, not the other way around. Does that not sound appealing to you? Is that not the kind of world we deserve to live in? When I bid my grandmother goodbye that day for the last time in my life, I decided that's the kind of world I wanted. That we all want, whether we realize it or not. But deciding that was not good enough. Daydreaming alone wouldn't have led me to that kind of paradise. Only action would. After all, it's not like I have a choice. Many before me likely dreamt of such a world, but no one ever tried to make it a reality. No one ever dared to. And if I had to guess, no one ever will again. So it has to be me. I have to succeed. I must. And I know that it's possible because of you. You and all the others who support me. You, the result of 40 years of work, Isaac, of planning, of sacrifice, made flesh and steel. And soul. You were not the first to become synthetic, and I refuse to let you be the last. Because it's not about saving a life, or 100 or 100,000 or a billion, it's about saving all of them. Every last one of them. Because no one deserves to go through what we did. And soon, thanks to our sacrifices, no one ever will, again. Just one more month of waiting. One more month of work and all this could be in our grasp. This dream, this vision of mine, it needn't be mine alone, it could be ours. She chuckles. My god, is she some kind of villain? Look at this. Is she Aizen from Bleach? Is this gonna be the plot twist? It was all according to my plan, Isaac. I gave you cancer. Yes, yes. Every single thing. Did you think that your father just tragically died? Come on, brother. It's all according to my plan. I'm gonna unleash my Bankai. If it isn't already, of course. Holy shit. Slowly, delicately, the woman extends a hand towards you as if inviting you to take it. You share this dream with me, won't you, Isaac? Her gaze refocuses onto you as if suddenly expecting an answer. No such thing comes from you. Oh, sorry, there's a but. Is she? No fucking way. This is some Iron Man, Reed Richards evil alternative universe version bullshit happening. Alright. As her eyes are drawn ever upward toward what used to be the starry sky, only a question bursts out of her lips. What the hell is that? You shout as you quickly back away, only to stumble and fall butt first onto the ground. Oh, what's what? You hear Mary shout back, agitated. I love their reactions, man. They're like, huh? As you try your best to regain your bearings. Suddenly, you turn your gaze upward once more toward the sky. But whatever used to be there has long since vanished. Whatever, indeed, even now the words to describe what it is you saw elude you. But the memory is too striking to ignore. And so you keep staring at the sky as if expecting the baffling sight to return until you hear Mary's footsteps closing in on you. With a look of unimaginable worry in her eyes, she crouches down next to you before addressing you once again. Are you alright? You don't look so good. I think so, yeah. You reply almost automatically. I mean, I thought she was gonna reveal the grand plan, the final plan, the final solution. I just thought I saw something, I guess, but it was probably my imagination. Or perhaps some sort of hallucination, even though it felt too real to be dismissed as such so quickly. Or maybe the soul's power is too powerful, like Mary's soul is just brimming with life. It's like she's distorting reality or something. But you've clearly spent too much time trying to make sense of the nonsensical. The concern in Mary's eyes is only growing bigger, and so far you've done very little to address it. I'm really sorry for making you worry. You were making such a fascinating speech. I didn't mean to interrupt you. A speech? Interrupt me? The woman inquires, seemingly surprised, then she makes as if to swallow, only for the act to sprinkle some pain into her visage. She doesn't appear to like that. God, my throat is dry as bone. Have I really been rambling for that long? It's been a while for sure. She was like in a trance. I'm not even joking. Who the fuck was that Mary? It was like as if she was possessed by something. Life? God? The devil? I don't know. You answer, not thinking twice about the words, still too shocked to value politeness over straightforwardness. With a slow, tired motion, the feline steadily rises to her feet, followed soon after by herself. I can't even recall what the last thing you said was. What was I even thinking? I must have looked like some kind of lunatic to you now. No, not at all. You don't have to say that. Like I said, I was really enjoying hearing you talk. You raised some really interesting points. Perhaps a little too interesting at times. You briefly shuddered before addressing the scientist once more. That said, could we continue this discussion another time? I don't mean to chase you away, but it's been getting pretty late and I'm not sure I can hold on much longer. Some synthetic I am. You mutter to yourself, ashamed of your excuses, even if they're not far from the truth. Fortunately, Mary's reply is quite understanding, despite everything. Of course. To be honest, I'm starting to feel a little sleepy myself. It's a reference to me. I'm fucking kidding. It's a word. Jeez. And she looks at her tablet and her eyes grow as wide as soccer balls. Oh dear, that is extremely late. I better go book some private transport right away before I'm basically stranded here. Right, you even got work tomorrow, don't you? Yup, and after a speech like that, I can't exactly afford to skip on it either. She chuckles under her breath, but only the nervousness comes through. And then the regret. I'd hate to ditch you without warning though. Maybe I could accompany you to your room? That won't be necessary. I think I'll stay here for a little while longer. Look, some more to the stars and all that. You reassure her, half truthful once again, Though, in her wariness, the scientist appears to miss it in her gaze. Well, alright then. On a night like this, I suppose that makes sense. In that case, I suppose this is where we part ways. Although I hope not for long. I'd hate for this to be the last conversation we have for a while. I'll do what I can to schedule some more time with you soon if I can find it. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it, but please don't skimp out on your work for my sake, alright? Oh, come on, Isaac. You really think I would do something like that? Mary smiles at you once again, already trying to regain some of her familiar positivity before heading up towards the exit. Now, get some rest. I'll be around if you need me. Her cheery words echo behind her as she disappears through the door. Once you're sure she's gone, you exhale a final, exhausted sigh. Before collapsing into your back under the heavy weight of your heart. From here, the view of the sky is clear and spotless, an immutable starry sky you've seen countless times before. Then why does it feel as though it'll never be the same? What in the world is even going on anymore? You whisper to yourself, closer than ever to what feels like madness. While your sight quickly blackens and your senses start to fail you? Oh. Oh. Okay. So, oh, yeah, this is the final episode for this chapter, not the game or visual novel. Thank you for sticking around. See you on whatever doing. I might end this in an awkward time frame, but see ya. Goodbye. Good luck. Boodle.